Hello, my name is Adrian Lee and I'm the Deputy Director at CDTL. Together with CIT, we have put together this short video to share some concerns around planning you might want to consider in designing an open book take-home examination. In designing such an assessment, it is important to plan ahead to ensure that the assessment items or questions are appropriate for the level of your students, are aligned to the learning outcomes of the module, cover a balance of content and thinking questions, and that they are fit for purpose. In addition, the use of digital assessment tools implies that more thought needs to be put into ensuring students are prepared to access and use the tools fairly and appropriately. Our first suggestion is to consider having some sort of planning tool to ensure that your examination represents the breadth and depth of knowledge and skills intended in your learning outcomes. One approach is to draft a test specification or an assessment blueprint. An assessment blueprint is simply a plan that indicates the balance of content knowledge and thinking skills covered in the assessment. It allows your assessment to achieve the desired emphasis and balance among aspects of content and among levels of thinking, especially in the case of open book exams, in which there need to be high cognitive demand questions that require students to make and justify choices about approaches or strategies, analyze complex information or data, or synthesize or evaluate evidence. This slide shows an example assessment blueprint for an open book take-home MCQ examination. The first column lists the major topics the assessment covers. The outline can be as simple or as detailed as you need to describe the content domain for your learning goals. The second column provides further specific detail to unpack the major topics. The last two columns allow you to identify the multiple choice items that require low and high cognitive demand, and further list the classifications in the cognitive domain of the revised Bloom's taxonomy. Using an assessment blueprint for planning helps to ensure that your assessment has the emphasis you intend, that it fairly covers the content of the module. It further simplifies the task of designing assessment by indicating exactly what kinds of tasks and items you need. Note that the low order cognitive demand questions account for 40% of the exam, and so it would not be possible for a student to pass by recall alone. However, in the context of an open book exam, this weighting may need to be re-evaluated. In using a digital assessment tool such as ExamSoft, it is further important to consider the needs, expectations and goals of both teacher and student so as to design an assessment that is valid, fair and relevant for purpose. If you are planning on using ExamSoft for your open book take-home examination, then there are a number of things you need to do. First, you will need to register with CIT to set up accounts for your students so that they can access the student portal, Examplify. CIT will work with you to help your students get started by supporting them in downloading Examplify onto their laptops and with testing. Second, students need to be familiar with the digital assessment tool. Students have access to trial quizzes through CIT, but you can also support their familiarization by running a mock test. This can also help surface any technical issues that you or your students may have. Third, it is critical that there are open channels for communication, both to support resolution of queries over the exam and to resolve technical issues that might arise during the exam. That your students are familiar with the technical hotlines. Finally, we have also produced a short video that highlights the features of ExamSoft for take-home MCQ exams that will help ensure your exams are administered securely. In this brief video, we have discussed some of the issues you will need to consider as you plan towards your open book take-home exam. This included the use of an assessment blueprint, as well as bringing CIT into the loop so that they can set up the necessary student accounts and support your students. You will need to familiarise your students with the digital assessment tool that you wish to use and notify your students of the channels of communication that will be available. Planning ahead will help ensure that you adopt and make the best use of the digital assessment tool that will meet the needs of both you and your students. Good luck, thanks for listening, and stay healthy.